Greetings from Costa Rica. I hope you and everyone in your family is healthy and well. My name is Matt Rosensteel. Today, posting a quick update regarding some news that I'm sure you've already heard about. The fact that Costa Rica's borders have been closed from today, March 18th, through April 12th, 2020. And really, more than anything, I hope to talk about what you can do as someone who has visited Costa Rica. If you love this place, if you know people here, the border closure does promise to have significant impacts on the local economy that we're already seeing. I want to discuss those impacts and what you can do as somebody who loves Costa Rica. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. matt@cbtamarindo.com is my address. Today, I'll be discussing a few quick topics. First of all, the logistics of the border closure. Second of all, I'll sort of start talking about what I see as ways you can help out as a foreigner expat who either has visited or already invested in this country. Another topic I want to cover that's very pertinent to me as a realtor with Coldwell Banker Tamarindo is going to be whether or not the HOA that you're working with as an owner is legally employing and treating its employees fairly. And finally, we'll talk about directly helping with families' expenses in this time of need. I've already had clients asking me or mentioning that they know this border closure is going to really affect someone they love. So let's talk about the closure first of all. The declaration was made yesterday, March 17th. Today, March 18th. Obviously, it extends through April 12th at midnight. It's designed very much to coincide with the end of Easter and tourism related to that here as well. Also, here in the country, just like you've been seeing abroad, the schools will be closing down. Really, things are coming to a standstill. And one of the first questions that came out of the expat community was, for all of the people who are living here as permanent tourists, they have to leave every 90 days with a visa. That very much scared them that they would not be able to return in 90 days. Well, what the government effectively did with this emergency declaration is that if you entered Costa Rica after December 17th, basically, if you had a valid tourist visa as of yesterday, then you're welcome to stay until May 17th. They essentially extended all of the valid visas, those 90-day tourism visas, from yesterday through May 17th, specifically to help people out, because while you still might have options to get out of the country, people were thinking, okay, when I do my border run and I come back in, I'm not going to be allowed because I'm a non-resident. Well, now you've got an extension until May 17th. Again, this border closure applies to non-citizens and non-residents. Obviously, they're going to let Costa Rican citizens and people who have residency back into the country during this time. What can you do as a foreigner, as a visitor, somebody who loves Costa Rica? Well, I wanted to share a little bit about the first couple years I was here living in a very small village as a volunteer. I was actually in this community starting right during the last financial crash in 2008. And at the time, I really didn't understand the context and just how desperate things were. But what we're immediately seeing with this travel closure is that lots of tourism operators in the Guanacaste area throughout the country are already furloughing employees and cutting payrolls. There's seasonal employment here that is absolutely critical to a lot of families, and that is immediately being cut off. This happened previously in 2008 when we saw a huge financial meltdown lead to extreme cutoff in employment and a drop in sources of income for families. At the time, I was a volunteer, and really what I saw was that one of the wonderful things about Costa Rica, or especially in this region, Guanacaste, a lot of communities, there are still very close-knit family and social networks that do create really good glue and a fabric that helps these communities get through it. A little employment can go a very long way in some of these small rural communities. I remember in '08, there was one construction project. I'm actually sitting in the building now that was nearby in Playa Junquillal. This commercial center was the source of employment through '09 and '10 for perhaps a dozen families in my little village. All of the people were commuting down here to work with a company, a construction company that the builder has been on my video blogcast before, but those 12 or 15 jobs were so critical for the local economy because those people all had families to whom they were directly supporting with that money, but then within these small communities, even one job meant that a person bringing home a salary, they were helping their extended family in any way possible. They might be the ones that were then hiring younger people to go help them with their farm. And very quickly, all of this money, any small bit of a paycheck that was coming to my little community was getting recirculated and very much helping people. So if you happen to be, sorry, it was a long-winded answer, but if you happen to be a property owner or somebody who's already involved here, whether it's a lot or a condo or a big home you have, this is a great time for you to create local employment by investing in your property, getting that maintenance done, those improvements that you have been sort of putting off. Call up that person that usually maintains your property for you and say, hey, look, I think we need to get it chopped. I really want to do that irrigation improvement. I want to add that little pavilion or rancho. Whatever it is, try and give those little jobs to people who are about to be unemployed or really scraping to make an income. And you'll see very quickly that even a very small amount of money arriving for a family can make a big difference. If you're a visitor or someone who's only come and fallen in love with Costa Rica, but you don't have your own place yet, I would first reach out to local nonprofit organizations and find out how they think you could be most helpful in this coming economic difficulty that we're facing. Throughout Guanacaste and Costa Rica, you will find nonprofit organizations that are doing great things in local communities. Call them and say, hey, I need to help this community get through the coming unemployment difficulties that families will be facing. How can I do that? And I'm sure they will have ideas for you to help since you don't have those direct connections yourself. Moving on, another thing that I wanted to really ensure that people are checking on at this moment here, if you're involved with a homeowners association, an HOA, or a condo owners association, please make sure that your organization is treating their employees fairly. First and foremost, if you all are able to ensure that nobody is furloughed, despite the fact that vacation rentals are going to take a nosedive on and on, if you can keep your employees paid, that would be the absolute best thing that you can do as an organization to help as we approach a tough time ahead. Second of all, throughout, no matter what, when you're involved in a homeowners association, I would hope that everyone is ensuring that the employees, your contractors, everybody is employed legally and that their benefits are being paid. Costa Rica has huge numbers of social welfare programs, or let's say very strong social welfare programs. Employers are supposed to be paying a fairly decent big chunk of money on top of an hourly rate to cover Social Security, vacation time, all kinds of benefits, even accruing a payment that should be a severance payment for your employee. make sure that your HOA is fully complying with the law, because those laws are designed to protect people specifically in this kind of instance where, for example, we might see people who are unable to work because they get sick, on and on. Hopefully your HOA has their health insurance covered. Hopefully they'll have paid vacation time. And if by chance you have to let somebody go, fire them because of the conditions that are coming ahead, hopefully you have a full severance pay, something that represents truly what that person is entitled to. I won't get into the details because I don't know them at all, but really, you should be handing them a lump payment when you fire anybody that's designed to help them find their next job. It covers time for them to look for another job. I think there's a couple weeks that they can accrue towards that. There's the forewarning, or you have to actually give advance notice and pay them so that they're able to look for their job. Those sorts of programs. Make sure your HOA is complying with laws and doing everything that they should to support people. Finally, let's talk about directly helping families with their expenses. First of all, as I mentioned, schools are canceled until April 12th. That's similar to the situation around the world. You are going to see a lot of single mothers in communities in Costa Rica who just lost their free childcare and a free meal. There are programs that will step up to try and feed kids in communities. I'm sure that's something that the Costa Rican government does here, but still, single mothers are going to be looking at trying to take care of their kids that are no longer in school. And I'm, in being totally transparent, many single mothers will be employed by organizations, companies, on and on, that are not going to help them through this crisis. Lots of them just lost their job, got the absolute bare minimum severance, if anything, on and on. Those single mothers out there absolutely will be facing increasing expense, and if you know or love somebody here in Costa Rica, send them a WhatsApp message, say, how are you doing? Ask them about things that are coming up in their life. Maybe despite the fact that school's canceled pretty soon, back in, once we're into May, June, July, and August, they're gonna need new pants, new books. For this break, they need something for the kid to do. They're gonna need something educational for them to learn from. Really, I would probe and try and find out, if you've got a Costa Rican family you love, what's going on in your lives and how can we help? Especially one of the big things that I see people doing in these times of need is that to get through a crunch, if you're a low-income Costa Rican family who perhaps just lost your seasonal job, you were expecting it to last through Easter, which is our high season, you just lost your source of income. A lot of people are going to be looking to payday lenders. They're going to be looking for those kinds of pawn shops. They might even take out loans against pieces of property, homes, etc., to pay their costs in this time of need. If you know what those loans look like to a lot of poor families, they're the only thing available, and oftentimes they sound very appealing because it's quick credit, but the conditions and terms can be very, very predatory. And if a family gets involved in one of these loans, especially if they're borrowing against an asset that really means something to them, let's say their home, if you as a foreigner have the means to help a family not get into that situation, that could be absolutely life-saving, where they might think, oh, we need $800 desperately to pay X or Y expense that's coming up in our lives. They might say, okay, we can pawn, there are pawn shops that will take sort of your dishwasher or some appliance, or they might say, I'm going to take a mortgage out against our property to be able to cover it. See if you can help. You might be never expecting to get repayment of a loan, but really, if you know that families are thinking about that option and you know what could happen if things go wrong with that loan, try and help them avoid it. Really just some thoughts, especially based on what I saw back in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. So as a quick summary, if you're sitting at home and you've just heard that the borders are closed here in Costa Rica until April 12th, you're thinking, oh, what can I do? Well, my ideas are, first of all, create local employment any way you can. Call up those families you love, put them to work. If you have anything you need done with your property, your corporation, whatever they can do for you, get them working and into some sort of payment. Next, make sure your Homeowners Association or HOA is being fair, equitable, and employing people legally, that they're paying for all these benefits that would help people through their time of need. And finally, if you're thinking about helping families with their direct expenses, to me, it can often be a life-saving, wonderful thing for somebody to support with a little bit of money. Obviously, you have to be careful when you're doing that, but I also mentioned if you're hearing that a family might be considering getting into a loan in order to make it through these rough times ahead, don't let them take out that loan, because they might end up losing their house, their farm, their car, any number of items that they would put as the collateral for that loan to secure it now. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. My email address is matt@cbtamarindo.com. My name is Matt Rosensteel. I work with Coldwell Banker, Tamarindo Realty here in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Again, I hope everybody is happy, healthy, and secure. Feel free to contact me if I can be of service in any way. Have a good day and take care.